Okay. Let me turn off that shitty AI music. What's going on?
It's a shit show. It's a shit show.
Is it a shit show? Is it a shit show?
It's a lot of people panicking. It's a lot of people panicking and throwing around their opinions.
Well, let's just explain. Let's explain for the audience.
Do we have anyone actually?
There's a few people, yeah. But maybe there might be 10 have tuned in. I mean, let's bear in mind this is an impromptu stream, so yeah, I think we've got 10 or 12 people.
Hey, King.
So yeah, do you want to explain just briefly? I mean, we don't have to go, or maybe we should. Maybe we should go tweet by tweet. But
that's not a bad idea. Yeah.
Yeah. The only issue is that I could probably read them from a device, but bringing them up on screen, that would be something that. Can you bring them up on screen? Maybe we should do that. Okay. So even though we're gonna, should we start what?
Yeah, exactly. What do we start with? We start from the He's been tweeting a lot, which is nice to see Richard tweeting a lot, if anything.
Yeah. Okay, so let's just give a bit of context, hey? A bit of context. So I think a few people would have woken up to see the price of HEX on Ethereum down significantly, and the price of HEX on PulseChain maybe up a little bit, then maybe back down a little bit. And this, I think, for a lot of people was cause for concern, because no one, we thought, you know, I think most of us thought, oh, look, we're sort of starting to pump, you know, and now we've had this bit of this dip. I say a dip because when I say a dip, that makes it sound as if it's supposed to come back up. But obviously, I don't know. I don't think anyone could know. But given the circumstances, you know, this could be something. You know, maybe this ratio between HEX on PulseChain and HEX on Ethereum has moved in this direction, and it will continue to, you know, move in this direction moving forward from now. Maybe the one, I mean, given the this tweet, these tweets that have come out, you would think that now it's as obvious, it's as laid out and clear to everyone as it could possibly be. It couldn't be any clearer, could it?
In terms of, well, in terms of what Richard thinks, it's clear. Yeah, and I mean, I think we should just take it back to kind of like we had HEX on Ethereum. It was evident that the gas fees were going to get out of control, especially
as they
for
did
HEX.
last bull market, they were out of control. Like,
yeah, so especially for HEX, because with each day it's an increased cost to end the stake, and so it was not a long-term, you know, thing. And so we were all incredibly happy when he jumped on stream and said, right, I'm going to fork Ethereum. We then waited for 2 years for PulseChain to be developed. And then that finally came out. And before then, Richard had always said he wanted to see...
And has been working fantastic. Has been working flawlessly, really.
Yeah, and look, there were many times when Richard said he wanted to see HEX expensive everywhere on all chains. People then started up after the fork came out. People then started asking him, which should I buy? Which is better? And he kind of said, you know, listen, I don't know. The market is going to have to decide, but you know, like it's going to be a lot cheaper to end your stakes on PulseChain, obviously. And so that's probably going to, you know, is maybe a good idea. Then we've had 10 months since the fork. And at sometimes he said he'd let the market decide. And that was always, to me, was like a very unclear statement, because in my mind, a market is never finished. Like, these are decentralized things. There can always be a market. And so the market, like, maybe a price the ratio goes down in terms of how much, you know, EHEX is worth to PHEX, but there's always going to be a market. But then the other day he came out and he basically said, like, the market has decided PHEX is the one. And I'm not exactly sure why he needed to do that. I guess he just wants basically to pump, he wants all that economic energy to go into one of the hexes as opposed to being split between the hexes. But the problem with that is you have the assumption that, for instance, if people are spending ETH to end a stake on Ethereum hex, the assumption is that instead of spending that Ethereum to end that stake, they're going to go and buy the other hex. And that is a big assumption. And so while it is better if, like, one of the hexes pumps.
That's a really good point. That's a really good point, Bluey. I hadn't thought of that particular point. Yeah. But sorry, go on. I just that's actually, I hadn't thought about that. Yeah. It's true. It's true. Just because you were going to end a stake and now you can't doesn't mean you're then going to go and spend those funds on PulseChain. That's not like you're,
especially when ETH is pumping, or it seems so, and like you know, like the SAC address has made the decision to put a lot of its stables into Ethereum, so that it thinks Ethereum is going to pump, and it's leaving it sitting there in things like Aave and Compound to earn interest while that happens. So you'd think that it's going to be it wants to make money on that Ethereum and it wants to have that big bag of Ethereum. So the other thing that's happened,
and that, like, we assume that would be used to then bolster the PulseChain ecosystem.
Well, that's the thing. Like, we've seen the SAC address bridge some over and buy up Pulse Inc., PulseX, and PHEX. I think, I'm not even sure on the PHEX actually. So it's only used a little bit of its power to do that, and I think that's, like, he wants the market to think that it's going to keep deploying money over there to pump those things, because he's trying to incentivize people to go over there. But that only works if he keeps a really big, like, if he keeps his finger on the trigger. Like, if he pulls the trigger, then all that money goes over. Maybe it pumps, but then it probably sells down. So that's the game. The game is that he wants everyone to think there's a ton of potential over there, and there is. But the problem I see at the moment is that the PulseChain is a bit of an island. Like, I definitely had some onboards been contacting me in the last day, and they're, like, trying to basically get over onto PulseChain, and I was trying to help them get over.
That's a very positive thing, by the way. That should tell you something about what's going on as well. The fact that people actually, like, in the bear market, how many people were knocking your door down trying to get on to PulseChain or
they were waiting.
Get into
they were waiting.
Yeah,
a lot of them were waiting. Yeah,
but now people are actually contacting you, wanting to do it. So what did we find out? So there's more than one way to get onto PulseChain. You were saying that it's, like, not as easy, but okay. Like, as you thought.
It's
But isn't it as simple as like you either bridge across from SparkSwap or the PulseChain bridge, which is bridge.pulsechain.com. You can download software there that will allow you to do it. Or you can go to the is it exchange.sparkswap.com is another one.
No,
there's
XYZ.
XYZ, pardon me.
That's if you want to. That's okay. So listen, I tried to take someone through like getting it through ChangeNow.io. They tried with Apple Pay. Apple Pay wouldn't put through the transaction.
We should be clear about what we're. Hang on. We should be clear about what we're saying here. Let's separate between if you've already got crypto and you just want to get into PulseChain, or if you're onboarding from scratch. Let's not conflate the two because they are two different things. A lot of people who want to get into PulseChain are already in crypto and they just want to work out how they can get on. Okay. If you're on Ethereum and you want to bridge across, you can use the bridge.pulsechain.com software, which will allow you to run your own server locally on your computer, which sounds harder than it is. It's actually super easy. It's like running an exe file, like a program on your Windows desktop. It's super easy. Or you could use Change Now, which is a bridge. No, that's a swapping.
It's got a bridge. It's got a bridge, but it also has
a swap directly
a way to buy with a credit card.
Right? Yeah, but you can just swap. Let's say if you've got Ethereum or something else, you can just swap that for Pulse, right?
Listen, I mean, listen. The thing is, right, if we are going to be entering a bull market and people are seeing the green dillies and they've got their fiat and they want to start dabbling in crypto and we want to help them out by getting onto PulseChain, there's one of two ways to go. They can go through, well, there's a number of ways to go, but like I'll tell you what I've kind of been finding out is that first of all, if they want to buy with their credit card, often those payment providers will refuse to do it. They just won't put it through, right? Even though it's there and everything like that, and it should work, it hasn't.
This is a crypto-wide problem, though, isn't it? This is crypto-wide.
This is the choke. This is the choke strategy that TradFi or the government or US government or whatever is you. And this is like I'm talking about a US person in the United States with American banking. I don't know about Australian or the other ones. Now, yeah, she tried to buy through her credit card, and she tried through two means and got blocked both times. One of them after having to do a whole lot of KYC, right? So she was already on Coinbase, and so I said, okay, let's do it through Coinbase and bridge it over. That seems to be the realistic option for people wanting to get onto PulseChain in order to buy PHEX. Now they can do it through the Ethereum bridge. Today it was costing anywhere between $60 and $90 just to send to the bridge, even though the bridge is free to wrap it and put it over. But the
bridge has no fees. The bridge has no fees to bridge across into PulseChain, but Ethereum is going to charge you $60 to $90 to do that transaction because Ethereum is just at that point. And there's some comments in the chat here. By the way, g'day to everyone in the chat. We've got 68 people watching. G'day to everyone in the chat. We'll come and read some of the comments, in a few minutes. But yeah, there's the
cheapest way to do it if you have money on Coinbase is to convert it to BNB or like something on Arbitrum, or to keep it into USD and to send that to either the BSC chain or to the Arbitrum chain, and from there you can bridge to PulseChain. So that's that is I think the cheapest way that I've found, and that's, you know, like in terms of learning how to get into crypto, it's a nice big learning curve, that's for sure, for newbies, and you know that's the choke point. You know, it's not easy to get onto PulseChain. Not as easy as some other ways. It's, you know, it's difficult to get to any crypto, you know, but it's a little bit harder to get onto PulseChain. It takes learning how to use, you know, the bridges and stuff, and to go onto Arbitrum or BSC and then onto, and, you know, and it all uses the same addressing, so that's not the worst thing. But yeah, the thing is that, like, we really need that OX Coast to start working again. Like, I think they just did a tweet today where they've got some, they've just signed some new deals or something like that. They had it all working, and then something happened. It wasn't. It's not now, as far as I know. They've signed some new deals, so that easy onboard onto PulseChain is like, that is the real pressure point. Now, on the other hand, that does represent an opportunity, like, because there are hurdles to jump over, and it is kind of a nice learning curve to be able to learn how to use, you know, crypto. But, you know, like, that is there, and so it has good to it and bad to it. It means that a lot of people are going to try and not do it because it's too hard, and then it's going to go their exchange, and then they're going to play their casino
Okay,
game.
well, look, I'm going to push back a little bit about how hard it is, okay? Because I just don't, I think people make too much of how hard it is. If you can get, like, onto an exchange and send out of an exchange, then you can get onto PulseChain. It's not that hard. Come on. I just think people make too much of a big deal about that. I'm going to show you some websites, okay? And by the way, I haven't actually used this website. You told me about this. SparkSwap is it's a swapping.
It's an exchange, and it's also a bridge.
And it's a bridge, so you can use it to bridge. And what's interesting about this, if you're on BSC, you can bridge DAI over to Pulse from BSC or from Arbitrum. So there's a couple of extra options there if you're on different chains to get across, or maybe, just maybe, you from the exchange that you're currently on, you can get, like, BSC, you can get onto BSC and then get some DAI, and maybe that's a cheaper way to onboard on rather than being coming across from Ethereum. So there's an option for you there. Another website which I'm just going to quickly share is this one here. It's called gorealdefi.com, and that's got a link to the HEX staking portal on PulseChain, the Explorer, the exchange, an Ethereum exchange. There's a launchpad and also the bridge. So we're talking about the bridge here that you'd need to use to get on. And so that's a bridge from Ethereum. And this is the bridge right here. So let me just bring it up. Can you see that? That's the bridge.
Yeah, that's just the same bridge as from PulseChain.com.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can actually use this one here, which is on this website here. This particular one is bridge.hexoacoin.com. That's one, but that's the same one that's on the Go Real DeFi. It's basically the same code on the that's on the Go Real DeFi one. I think these are IPFS sites. So yeah, that's how you get in. But this is obviously bridging from Ethereum. There's no bridge fee to get from Ethereum over to PulseChain, but there are the Ethereum network fees, and that's why There's also this option here, which is called change now. And am I right in saying that there's Pulse? Have they got Pulse here?
Yeah, but I'm not. This is the one that didn't. I mean, when my friend was trying to do it through a credit card, it wouldn't work.
Well, that's credit card, but we're just talking about crypto to crypto, mate. Like,
well, they probably charge something, or they'll get it on the spread or something. No,
yeah, they'll get it on the spread.
like that won't be the free bridge.
I say maximum amount is, but it will tell you how much you're going to get. So it just says you're going to get this much, right? And that that's what you're getting. So you either like it or you don't like it, right?
Yeah.
And you can work out what that is. But I think the maximum you can send is like just under 0.3 of an ETH. So whatever 0.3 of an ETH is, what is it
Like
right now? It's about 4.
Oh,
Yeah, $1,200 US, roughly. So $1,200 US is going to get you around 6. Is that right? 6 million pulse? Does that seem
yeah, that
right to
sounds
you?
right. Yeah, it sounds right. It should say there like what rate you're getting it at.
Yeah, it doesn't right here. I haven't clicked through yet though, so just let me. I'm just doing some on-stream maths, which we're not supposed to do, but let me just quickly do that. I would say that's what's Pulse at the moment. What's the price? Do we have a price of Pulse? Let me
Just go
bring
to
up gopulse.com.
has a current price. It's 3 zeros 177.
Okay, so just so you know, if
So you
you're
lose out.
buying them, you're losing out big time if you're going through this particular one, because this one is telling me that you'd be paying 0.000196 whereas the price is 0.2. So you got to play around. You got to have a look, right? You got to have a look at what's worthwhile. I think bridging across, the idea of bridging across from another chain, if you're, maybe you can onboard through BSC or something else. But if not, if you're coming across with a decent amount from Ethereum, like realistically, if it's a couple of grand or more, then it's probably fine to do it through Ethereum. I mean, it's just the cost of doing business sometimes getting on. It's a real problem when you've only got like a few $100s and you're eating up 10% in fees.
It's more than 10%.
Look, the beauty of getting onto PulseChain though is once you're on PulseChain, transacting is basically free because the transactions cost next to nothing, like not even a cent to do a transaction.
I think the Sparky swap, if you're coming from like Coinbase or an exchange, I think like putting it into like onto like sending it from Coinbase to the BSC chain or the Arbitrum chain, and then using Sparky swap to go into Pulse. I think that's probably the cheapest way. Like, correct me if I'm wrong in the chat, guys, but I think that's probably the cheapest way to get onto Pulse.
It probably is. It probably is right now. So let's have a look at that tweet. Did you grab it?
Yeah, it's up. I've put it in the thing.
Okay, there we go. Can you read it?
Yeah, I can see it. Yeah. Oh, do you want me to read it out?
So let's. What are we saying here? HEX is much better than EHEX, the HEX on Ethereum. Why? Gas fees, liquidity, slippage, common sense. Why would you pay $1,000 to end a stake instead of pennies? Why would you want crappier order execution? Buying into a thinner order book with more slippage, getting less for your dollars, and the same applies if you sold. So let's look at that for a second. There's making a lot of sense right there. It makes a lot of sense saying right there. Nothing wrong with what he's saying. So let's address the point that most people who have been around since before, most hexagons at least, have been around before the fork. A lot of these hexagons have stakes that on the Ethereum side, and that's where their concern is. Their concern is, well, you know, I can't, you know, this tweet is made the, you know, the ratio between the two move, and now like it's less viable for me to end my stake on the Ethereum side, or not viable at all. I think that ultimately, there are already a ton of people whose stakes on Ethereum were not viable.
True.
There's already a ton of them. So all this has done has moved the goalpost slightly for a bunch of new people.
Well, what I mean, the thing that who it's really hurt is anyone who has decided to buy EHEX after the fork.
Yeah. Which was always a speculative play, right?
Absolutely.
That was always speculative.
Yeah, and it was something that, you know, we weren't recommending for new onboards, because it's like, because to stake HEX, which is the whole purpose of HEX, you know, was going to be, we all knew that it was going to be too much.
And we had Brizology. We had Brizology on the chat on the Hex Late Show last week, and he's been screaming it for
I mean,
I didn't
see it as an either or. I just saw it as it's going to basically like PulseChain is going to attract a lot more new people, but there's no reason why the whales couldn't still play their games over on ETH. And I mean, the problem I had with this tweet was that he didn't need to do it. I didn't think.
Well, let's keep reading, because I want to, like, if that's the case, then tell me what it is about the tweet that you know, what part of it made you think I didn't need to do that? Okay, so how are you saving people from gas fees if they have to end a stake on 2 chains instead of 1? Every start stake, end stake, or swap on the Ethereum chain robs users of dollars because of the abusively excessive gas fees. That is 100% correct, yeah? Like, I don't know if you've ended a stake on Ethereum recently, but you feel like you're
right now.
you feel like you're getting bent over. Like it is
bent over, and I've got one sitting there at the moment, which is just I'm not ending. It's just bleeding out because it's not worth it, and I'm going to have probably a lot more of those.
Is this a matter of just like ripping off the band-aid and like, hey, let's just you know, we became so attached to Hex on Ethereum, and really we should just be like, hey, you know, there's a bunch of guys who have been saying this for a lot, like a while, and then, by the way, we all love PulseChain and Hex on PulseChain. It's not like we don't love it. We love it. We absolutely love Hex
I'm just
on PulseChain and PulseChain and everything on PulseChain.
Yeah, I'm thankful it exists, because
Yeah,
otherwise,
absolutely,
I'd be wrecked.
But is it we're so fucking greedy? Like, is that what it is? Are we just too greedy that, like, oh fuck, we want that shit as well? Is that what it is?
It's
Maybe
partially
it is, dude.
It's
it
partially
could be that. Maybe we should not be so greedy.
Yeah, it's definitely partially that.
Maybe we should just not be so greedy and just be like, hey, you know what? All this shit got built for us. All this shit got built for us to use, and it's working and it's there.
Yeah.
You know, if we have to, watch things bleed out on Ethereum because Ethereum sucks, you know, maybe that's just what we have to do. Maybe that's something we just have to cop on the chin, hey?
Yeah, there is still also, though, a big assumption that let's say you have a HEX on Ethereum, instead of using, as I said before, instead of using that money to end the stake, you're now going to go and move it over to PulseChain. Like maybe you just keep it on ETH. ETH is pretty bullish at the moment. We've seen the SAC address, put a ton of money into ETH. It's obviously very bullish on ETH.
Look, man, I think it's pretty fair to say that, if the founder of something who we look to for I guess, crypto advice, says like A, B, C, D, I think this, I think this is the path forward. It's probably a good idea for us to consider what he's saying, like, and give it a lot of weight as well. I mean, no one's saying you got to do what he says. Do whatever you want. That's the whole point of like crypto. Do whatever you want. But I don't think you can make it any clearer than what he said here.
Look, I think that, look, I mean, obviously it's the green candles which pull people over, like that's absolutely true. And so he wants more green candles over on PulseChain and Pulse HEX. And maybe he's the master and this is absolutely going to work. What it also kind of brought into clarity was how influential he is. Like he put out this tweet and the thing just bloody dropped off a cliff.
Could you say that again, mate? Just
well, it brought into clarity how influential Richard is. And
yeah, like, which is the case, which I think is the case in any crypto eco. I mean, if you look at,
it's more so with Richard, I think. Like if you,
is it? You don't think if Charles Hoskinson? You don't think if Charles?
Okay, if Charles Hoskinson tweeted out, I hate Cardano, I'm going all in on ETH, like, and gave good reasons for it.
Everyone would be like, his Twitter's been hacked.
Yeah. I mean, or if Vitalik, said, I've been really trying, did put out a long blog post saying, look, I'm really trying with ETH, but I'm come to the realization that actually it can't scale, and I think this other thing is the solution. Would it crash the ETH price? Probably. Or maybe not. I mean, I don't know. Especially with
look, man. He can't make anyone do anything. He can't make anyone do anything. He can't make you sell. He can't make you buy. But people do take, what he says and give it,
I mean,
a lot of weight.
If Craig Wright signed the Genesis block to prove that he was Satoshi, and then he said, Bitcoin's shit, like, everyone should be going in on BSV, what would happen to the Bitcoin price? Like, it probably wouldn't. It would probably be fine. It's really like, it's just an imaginary game anyway. You know what I mean? What I would love to see though is okay, why doesn't the OA, if the OA doesn't believe in EHEX anymore, why doesn't it just burn its full control of it? Not control of it, that's the wrong word. Why doesn't it burn its what it has under control, what it has the keys for, so that it keeps it like we still get, like, people on ETH still get good like percentage interest, but we know that those coins can't ever be sold. Like, it'll be such an interesting experiment, like, and I'm really curious as to what it would do. That would do to the EHEX price.
Yeah. So what do you think about this if we frame it as a tactic to get BankX, the BankX people to sell at a lower price. I mean, when I say a tactic, I mean it is what it is. It's like it's very, very clear here, but it also means that the BankX people can extract less dollars out of the system.
Yeah, I mean,
are you reading some?
yeah, I'm just
we've
reading
got
the
to go
comments.
to the chat. We've got to go and read the chat, man.
Pardon?
We've got we should go and say good day to the chat and read through some of these comments.
Yeah. Good day to everyone. I mean, if what T-Bird said, like, what if it's a Richard Hart like tactic to, you know, fud out people from EHEX and then he's going to buy it up and pump it or whatever like that. That's just like his stock would go down so much. Like people, I mean, maybe that's what
I don't think. Yeah, actually, you're right. You're right. I don't think that would be. Yeah, I've seen some tweets about that as if that's what's going on here, but
that's not what's
clearly
going to
not.
happen.
No, it's clearly not what's going. Like, I think it's very clear that you know, from this tweet and all the others that, you know, we need to be on PulseChain. That's where we're going to get the best deal. Those end stakes, especially for stakers, those end stakes on Ethereum are horrendous. They really are. They're horrendous. Like, you're looking at quarter of an ETH for a long stake. It's just, you know, it's ridiculous. But anyway, let's get to the chat here. Let's say we've got Wall to Wall TV. G'day. We've got Big Pay 888. We've got Nas Hex, Angor, Hex Sailing, True Blue. What's up, mate? Dawsey 78, Jerry, Clintrons 100% staked. T-Bird. What's up, buddy? Spike, Stephen, Shaggy Doo, BMA. Brizology, and what's up, Brizology, Maxi Cabby, George Chops. We got a few people in here. What's happening? Crypto Phil, Tom Boss, Paul Sachs. Who else have we got? Let's have a look. We've got a whole bunch of people in here. Thanks for coming along, guys. Thanks for coming along. This is one of those situations, isn't it, where you're just like, please let me listen to some people talk about this shit, and just sort of think through the whole thing. We do need to acknowledge that there are people out there who have been talking about this very thing for a long time, and the three that come to mind who are more vocal, and I think is, well, obviously after last Tuesday, Brizology came on the Hex Late Show on our finale, and you know, I think pretty straightforward that was his view. And then before, like, one of the first people was that I heard was it Furu Finance?
Look, who cares? Like, people took all these sides and had all these opinions and whatever.
Hang on. I think it matters. I think it matters that people who copped a lot of grief were actually on the right side of history on this one. I think it's important to acknowledge that. And there was someone else. Who was the other person I was thinking of? There was one more person. Yashdeep. On Twitter.
Yeah, look, the people were taking sides. I actually didn't want to take sides. I just wanted to like see how it played out and like keep both. You know what I mean? I wasn't about to like swap everything over.
That's basically what my tactic as well. But I wasn't like anything new. It was just going to be a matter of like, it would be PulseChain. There's no way that I would be like doing a stake on Ethereum. after the last bull run and having to end stakes in the last bull run, that was horrific. And we're back there now. We're already back there now, dude.
I mean, I think, you know, just thinking about it, in the end, for me, it's kind of like seeing how much influence that Richard has just by making a tweet and seeing the price react like that. It's kind of like you can look at that as a good thing, or you can look at that as a bad thing. And I can understand both sides. And that's it. You know what I mean? You could see it as like fantastic. He's going to pump the shit out of this. And you could say it's not so good because he's a point of failure.
In what? Well, I think it's a good thing, because I think the intentions are all positive and for the benefit of the user. But you know, you're saying, well, there's a point of failure. But what is that point of failure? Like, what if he just didn't tweet anything out? Or,
well, that's the imaginary. That's when you get into the imaginary horribles.
Well, yeah, there's no point going through that, because he built PulseChain. What did he build PulseChain to shit on it? Like, or did he build PulseChain to just destroy everything? It doesn't make sense, man. He did it to make things better.
And it's the same with any of these cryptos. Like, it's a young emerging asset class which has no permissions needed to use it, and so it's like attracting tons of greedy people, and it's attracting tons of people who want freedom, and it's all in this big mixture, and it's incredibly volatile compared to the US dollar, and we measure everything in terms of US dollars, and this is just the nature of it. On the one hand, we need that greed and those greedy people to come in, because that basically it increases its usage in the world. And so I always saw that as one of its biggest kind of pluses, was that, yeah, people come in because they're greedy, and then hopefully start understanding how this can create sovereignty and freedom. It's brought a lot of attention and energy back into the whole system, hasn't it? And Richard is playing on the big board now with this SEC stuff. Like, that's going to bring in a ton of mainstream eyeballs and attention, and crypto needs tons of attention, and HEX and PulseChain need tons of attention in order to succeed.
Well, he'll get a lot of attention, especially if he's able to set a precedent, like in relation to the
it's not even going to be about the outcome of it. It's going to just be about the journey of it. Like, it's going to take
matter as well. I think the outcome could matter as well. Like, if a precedent's able to be set, and we can just go about our business in crypto to some extent, like freedom to transact, freedom of speech, that type of thing. Look, let's go back to the chat. I just want to read through some of these comments. So going back to the start, Wall to Wall TV, and his comment is, so ETHEX is Axion now. Yeah, not exactly. I mean, I think, I mean, if anyone was around in the early days, that's there was someone. What did they do? Did they copy? They forked. Did they fork HEX in the early days? Is that what they did? They forked HEX in the early days and made another network, and then did they lock the liquidity pool or so? I can't remember what they did. Anyway, I don't know what's going on with Axion now. It's probably dead or not working or something. I don't know. HEX2T. I don't even know what that is. HEX2T. Welcome back, sirs, from KingPay888. Nas Hex. What's up, fellas? What's up, Nas Hex? Angor, hello, says hello. G'day, Angor. Hex Sailing, morning all. Good morning to Hex Sailing. Greetings from hot Victoria. Good to see you. KingPay888. Yes, it's been a hot few days in Victoria, mate.
I thought that was a chick. I thought Victoria's a chick and she was hot.
You've been surfing too many porn sites, my friend. It's been over 36 for the last 3 days.
Oof.
Well, today was only like 32 or 33, but the 2 days before that were 36. The 3 hottest days in a row that we had over the summer period, and we're in autumn. We didn't have like 3 days like that in summer, one after the other. So there you go.
Bones just like made a comment that we need easier ways to get onto Pulse without having to go via Ethereum. Totally agree with that. We were talking before, Emma, just about what you could do is from an exchange go to either the BSC chain or Arbitrum, and from there you can bridge over through a site called oh God, what's it called again? Something swap.
SparkSwap.
SparkSwap.xyz. That seems to be the cheapest way to get over there at the moment from fiat. But we definitely, and also then there's OX Coast, which doesn't work at the moment, I believe, but have some deals in place to hopefully, or maybe they don't work in certain places and other places they do. I'm not sure, but they are working on that fiat on ramp. And you're absolutely right. Like if PulseChain needs an easier fiat on ramp, especially as we have, especially if we want a whole lot of new people to come on over.
Fiat on ramp, you're saying? Fiat on ramp.
Fiat on ramp. And it's just a really hard thing to do. You know what I mean? They've choked out the points from fiat into crypto.
This is not, but hang on, but this is not really a PulseChain problem. This is a crypto-wide problem. Like, I think, and the question is, where are the bulk of the people coming into PulseChain going to come from? Are they going to be coming from other places in crypto, or are they going to be no coiners? That's the question. But let's keep working through these this chat. True Blue says, yo, this caught me by surprise. Yes, it was a bit of an impromptu stream that Blue and I decided to do about 3 hours ago. What's this? Says Dorsey78. Maybe RH trying to break the BankX position. Says KingPay888. Jerry says eHedron looking cheap. I bet it is. I bet it is looking cheap. Wall to Wall TV says it's not flawless. He glitched the Pulse farms and is too cheap for a block explorer. Wall to Wall TV throwing some shade. Look, just let me say on that, it's actually Pulse X contracts that had a little glitch in it. It wasn't Pulse itself. That has run flawlessly. And I don't know if a block explorer counts as being the network. But there are a number of block explorers. There's the scan.pulsechain.com software that you can run locally, or there's the one that's on the HOA coin, hexoacoin.com website. There's one there. There's also one on the gorealdefi.com website, and there's also the scan.9mm.com block scanner. So there's actually a few different block scanners that, well, maybe a couple of them are the same code, but there's a few different options there. Let's see. People going crazy. G'day from down under. Clintrons. 100% stake says most people don't stake, so don't know why we're focusing on staking fees. If people want to stay on ETH, the best bet now is to buy wrapped Pulse. Okay. Yep. I staked.
Alex is pretty interesting.
Where's that?
I've just put it up now.
Oh, Alex from Hedron.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the one that I put in the chat.
Yeah.
Well, while you're doing that, oh, you've got it up.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Can you read it?
Yeah, I'll read it out. EHEX is a foot in the door. It is the same thing that is most known, with the easiest access to the most people. Are we to be an island? Instead of questioning A is worse than B, but why buy A? Should we not be saying, hey, you have some A, did you know you can bring it over to our sandbox and gain benefits X, Y, and Z? Why not give A some niche utility in the new sandbox? Entice the transition. EHEX and HEX are not the same thing, never will be. It's okay for that to be the case. One may perform better than the other. I think we all know which one has the better properties. But to lose the former is to lose a foot in the door. It's the most PulseChain accessible thing not on PulseChain. Perhaps if we saw a major Pulse liquidity across the bridge, that would be different, but we don't. It doesn't make any sense to do that, and I don't think anyone will majorly support doing it. Regardless of price, EHEX is still that thing. It can suck competitively in many ways, and that can create different use strategies for it. That's what, yeah. Again, it is not the same thing, but losing it creates a more remote island than having it. So I continue to find its existence as a valid thing. It should be enticed to be majorly bridged away from its native chain. In that case, it's no different than an ink of sorts. Anyone can add utility to it if they wish. The only real argument for its demise is perhaps there are some people with large bags we don't want having large bags. So as devs, we simply must make whatever utility we form around it primarily benefit the superior blockchain. And he's got some really good points, especially
Dude, who knows what Alex is cooking up? He's cooking stuff up, man. He's got like he's probably
one of the things I've really felt for him and Dipcatcher and those and Goldkey, because those guys have been putting so much work into adding value to HEX on the Ethereum chain and the Pulse chain, and they've come up with really creative ways of doing it, and like straight after you launch Pool Party, then which is going to help out for that Ethereum side, like all of us, like Richard tweets that it's that's harsh. And with Alex has been working on these contracts for months to basically make Hedron and Icosa work the same on both chains, so that you'll be able to take your eHedron, move it over, and use it on PulseChain in exactly the same way as those are there. And it's like, and he's still going to do that. Like that's still in the plans. Like he even like thought, okay, he's thought about contingencies as well. Like, what if this happens? What if that happens? And one of the things he thought of was, what if, HEX on Ethereum, like basically goes to near zero? How would that affect things? And so he's still going ahead with his plans. He's building a web user interface at the moment. And it's going to make things interesting, because that puts a price floor on HEX of Ethereum towards HEX of PulseChain, because at some point of low EHEX price, you'll be able to make a stake, mint a whole lot of, or borrow a whole lot of Hedron from that, bridge it over, and use that Hedron to buy HMIs, like HEX stakes over on the Ethereum on the Pulse chain. So, and then all of a sudden, a whole lot of extra HEX is getting locked up if that starts happening.
Hang on a second. Wait, take a step back. Can you just explain this one more time, just a bit more clearly to me?
Yes. Okay. So he's making this new V2 contracts with Hedron and Icosa, right? And the contracts are finished. He's just building the web user interface, and then he's going to be, and as soon he's going to be releasing that on test nets so that we can all play with it. What that's going to give people the ability to do is to take any hedron on the Ethereum side and you bridge it over onto the I think it's in the contract. So I'm not exactly sure how it works, but basically that hedron, you can use that to bid in the auctions for HEX stakes.
In the same way that you could bid using the native, using the forked hedron on the PulseChain, you'll be able to use the hedron
not the forked. Yeah. The P hedron.
So both of them.
Yeah. So
the
that means
and the
that
bridged. Okay.
That means that, like, yeah, as I said, you could make it. If let's say that the price of HEX goes to 8 zeros and a 1. Like, it won't go that far because people are going to be able to buy the HEX, make a stake, mint the hedron, and that hedron is going to have the same value as the P hedron. And with that hedron, you can buy up auctioned stakes. So it's gonna set some sort of price floor for or ratio price floor for EHEX to PHEX.
But even bridging it across from Ethereum
I'm not sure how that. I think that bridge though is. I'm not sure how that works if you want to take it from the Ethereum side to the. Like, maybe it is maybe the bridge expense is another expense within that formula, you know?
Well, these are things that we don't know yet.
And it gets even more complicated than that, because you've also got a price of P hedron and a price of, and then you'd be able to stake also hedron and stuff. So on either chain. So you could also, so there's all sorts of and stuff going on. And I think like that he's going to incentivize people to like on the PulseChain side to swap it for, like, just to sell it to the ICOSA contract to get ICOSA. And then, so there's all sorts of like flaws and ratios, and like we're going to need AI for this. We're going to need AI for this, like the things you're going to be able to do on Hedron, and to work out, like, for the smart people, there's going to be tons of opportunity.
Yep. Man, this is so all right. Now that all of this has gone down, right? Let's bring this back up here. Let's bring this this page here back up. So now that this has all gone down, we're sitting on just over 2 cents for HEX, and which means that HEX on Ethereum is 0.4 of a cent. What do we think? I mean, is this going to be the big, like, this week? Is it going to be? Are we going to have a big week? Is it going to be a big week? Is it going to be a case of, like, people aren't going to have a chance to bitch and moan about this because in the next week we're just going to have green candles? That's the best way, just to make people forget about all of this, man.
Dude, anyone who tries to predict the future prices of these things is just on a fool's errand. Like, this has been the HEX journey.
We've been on a fool's errand for the last 4 years, mate.
The HEX journey is the case of a roller coaster, and you don't know what drama is coming next, and you don't know, and it's going, and it's done. It's made a lot of us a lot of us have done quite well off of it, and there's other people who think they're wrecked, but then maybe aren't later on, and then there's other people who feel they are wrecked, and then there are people who have been wrecked from it, you know. And it's like, what it's made me realize is that it's so hard to onboard people with like I just can't say anything with confidence almost, you know, like, and the other thing is like, for the people who just want to set and forget, like the people who just want to like get some crypto and not think about it, it's really hard to do that. You kind of got to be like, know what's happening
Hex
in the,
stake, bro. Hex stake on PulseChain.
well,
That's your set and forget a hex
we
ladder
thought that
on
about
PulseChain.
Ethereum as well.
What? No, but
Uh,
hang on a second. That I it's disingenuous to say that because
Yeah, okay, there are some.
PulseChain
Let
got
me put it this way. No, let me put it this way. There are some
you got
people.
if you had your hex stakes on Ethereum, you got your hex stakes on PulseChain. Like
Yes, but there are some people, right, who after the fork thought Ethereum is going to be the better chain, and he wants Hex expensive everywhere, and I want to buy Hex and stake it on Ethereum for 5.5555 or whatever. There's lots of people who, you know, well, I don't know, lots. I've got no idea actually. I'm just guessing here, but I imagine there are people who did that too, and it just shows you how speculative crypto is and how new and innovative in some ways, but and that speculation means it can be dramatically to the upside, but it also can mean it's dramatically to the downside. And it's like, it goes back to the basic lessons, you know, don't invest more than you can afford to lose. And am I still on? Yeah. But
okay. My internet dropped out, mate.
oh, okay.
Hang on, let me
I'm
just bring you back. Are you there?
here. Yeah.
Okay. Apologies for that. Some technical difficulties. I'm not sure exactly what happened there. I upgraded my internet a few weeks back, and it seems dodgier now than it was back then. It's
Man,
like
Australian internet is like
you
such
cannot
crap.
win. I'm paying more now than I was back then, and it's
Like how many
shit. It's like
decades to get this big fucking NBN rubbish? Like
so
fucking
dumb, mate.
yeah.
We've gone on about the internet in Australia non-stop over the last 4 years, but yeah, not very good. Anyway, so sorry, mate. You were live by yourself. I think I dropped out completely.
Yeah. Okay, all good. I was just going on a bit of a rant about how speculative crypto is, and like it's not for the faint of heart, and you probably want to keep track of what's happening within the space so that you can make more informed decisions. But even then, it's like fucking yeah, it's nothing is a guarantee, and that's like life. So probably reflects life.
Well, you were talking about, one person having a lot of influence, I guess, just like a tweet being able to,
Yeah. And some
you
people
know,
see that as a fantastic thing, and some people see that as a point of concern.
well, I mean, you could you could frame it like that, or you could frame it like, maybe he has a vision of what he wants to see achieved. Maybe he wants to see like a good, solid, stable blockchain that is affordable for people to transact on. And I think that that side of it's been achieved. The thing that hasn't been achieved is an easier way to get onboard. That is proving to be, and you've said that, so that's proving to be the big difficulty. But having said that, was it the same with Hex? Wasn't Hex hard to get people into Hex as well back in the day?
Seemed easier.
It seemed easier.
Well, this the low ETH fees was pretty simple. You just go to an exchange, buy ETH, and send it over to a wallet, then swap it for HEX, or chuck it in the what's it call it in that first year, ETH bucket every day, and get some HEX. Or
We really
it was really
need
fun when we had to sign the Bitcoin, our Bitcoin wallets. That's actually one of the things that got me into HEX. It was like, oh, this is actually really fun to do. I mean, I'm learning. I've learned a lot about.
You had to sign a message. What did you do? Was it like you had to put like an Ethereum address in there in the message, something like that, so
I
that
can't remember.
so it could get credited. So it could get credited to the because it was like 10,000. Was it 10,000 hex per Bitcoin?
Yeah, I think.
So if you had the Bitcoin, you could get up to, was it 10,000 hex, or if you self-referred and it was like maybe 13.
You get a bit
13,000 ish hex that
yeah.
you could get into for every Bitcoin into a wallet. And then you had to stake. And then
I mean, up until that point, I'd been in crypto for 2 or 3 years, and I really had no idea how to use it apart from sending it to my own wallet and maybe sending from a wallet to another address.
Sorry, mate, you cut out for a second there.
Well, up until that point, like I'd been in crypto 2 or 3 years, and maybe even 4 years. And then like I'd hardly actually used the crypto apart from like going from an exchange to sending it to an address and maybe sending that address to another address, but that's it. Like
that's all you could do back then. All you could do was send to an address.
Well, you could sign.
No, but I mean, like, what else could you do? Like, DeFi wasn't even around. Like, DeFi sort of came out in 2020. You know, that's when it sort of started kicking off.
Was Ethereum gone over 4,000?
Okay, let's bring it up. I know Bitcoin was kicking ass earlier today. Let's have a look.
Yeah, Bitcoin's on a tear, hey? Well, tearish.
Can we see this? No, there we go.
Yeah.
Coin Paprika. Bitcoin. 71,718. Ethereum. 4,037. Like, usually I'm happy that Ethereum is going up. But it just makes end staking
it makes it impossible.
Less worthwhile. You know,
and it makes bridging more expensive if you're doing it
more expensive. Yeah.
But still, you know, we measure all of this stuff in terms of US dollars, and it's a very hard mindset to get out of. Like, maybe we should be measuring it in terms of, I don't know, like whatever your favorite asset is, basically.
I think we have to use US dollars, mate. Like, what else could we use? What else could we use?
That's the easiest way to work out purchasing power. So yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But even that's looks like it's probably going to change in the future. You know, like if you're in Russia or China or one of the BRICS nations, and they're coming out with their own BRICS thing that they want to be trading in, and like, will they start like? Will people just not give a shit about the US dollar price, or will it just be another, like, for them at least?
I think the US dollar is not. I don't think the US dollar is going anywhere, mate. The US dollar is going to be around for a long fucking time. It's not going anywhere.
Yeah, I agree, but I don't think it's going to be like the BRICS nations have more GDP than America, and so if they all stop using the USD and start trading oil and all of their other stuff in something else, then that thing is going to, like, that they would be wanting to measure then the things, like if you want to buy a car, they're not going to be going, how much USD does it cost? I mean, they're going to be doing their own currencies, I suppose. But
I just think that, mate, I think that it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy for them to pull off a system that everyone's happy with.
Mate, I mentioned about BRICS years ago on the HEX Late Show. I said, this is coming. It will come.
It's
getting very fucking close, man. And they're coming up.
It's going to happen.
Something.
Yep, it will happen. It will happen. Yeah, for sure. It's going to happen. But what I'm saying is they're just not. It's not going to just take over the world. Like it's. I think that they will have their problems. You know, it's not going to be as straightforward.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. They're probably grappling with these problems right now, you know. But it's not that hard to come up with a new currency in a lot of ways. Like, especially when then a lot of
they should all just cut the shit and just peg their currencies to Bitcoin, to PHEX. They should peg their currencies to PulseChain or PHEX. And realistically, at this point in time, right now, as it is, you would say that Bitcoin's the closest thing to that. Now, whether or not, you know, see, it's the design of HEX is perfect for a country. Like, think about it. Like, if a country was like to have a pension plan for its people, using the HEX contract code would actually be a really, really fucking good idea. It's like you lock things up for long term, and like it would actually be a good system rather than whatever they have now, where it all goes into, you know, these third-party companies that are all profiting from it, and they're all leeching off you know, hard-working people. I think that would be you know, a better pension plan than what is currently in existence for Australians, at least. I don't know. I can't speak for other countries, but from what I hear, other countries have issues. So maybe it would be a good idea. Was there anything else you wanted to? Because we did say we were going to keep this one short. We've got 133 people listening in.
Well, are there any questions? Let's just quickly ask the chat if there's any questions or like things that they'd like our thoughts on, or that anything that they want, you know, to kind of like point out.
So let me have a look at some of these. I got to somewhere in the comments. Where did we get to?
You know, and look, for a lot of people, it's like they're kind of wondering, oh, fuck, what should I do right now? And a lot of people are doing crazy panic stuff, which I'm not sure is. We've actually seen a lot of EESing on PulseChain, I believe, on PulseChain HEX, which is crazy. Like, why on earth would you do that?
Yeah.
But maybe they saw this as negative.
And by the way, why would you EES on Ethereum? Like, if the whole idea is that,
why to pay for that?
Like, why would you? Yeah, what I mean, if the whole idea is like, don't spend the fees. Like, if you're subscribing to, you know, this point of view, then you don't want to spend the fees on Ethereum, right? If it's not worth it. I mean, there's going to be people for which it's worth them spending the fees. Like, if the stake is obviously if the stake is worth $300 and the fees are $700, it is not worth doing it. So you just leave. You just leave it. Maybe in future the gas fees go down and it's worth end staking you know, or the price goes up, it's worth end staking. But, you know,
I think the point as well is don't necessarily panic, you know, like,
yeah, don't
and
panic.
if you are panicking, it means you're too hedged in one direction. Like you've got, like I've got a little bit of EHEX liquid. I have no idea what to do with it. It's hardly anything. A lot of people are bridging their hex over and trying and swapping it for PHEX. You'll get about, I think, 20% of what is on Ethereum. My favorite color. Whenever I was asked that as a kid, I said sparkling orange and sparkling green. And when I was a really young kid, my mum said I used to paint in like purples and blacks. I don't know what my favorite color is now. I like all the colors.
15 million HEX in EHEX penalties and over 20 million in PHEX. 20 million in PHEX penalties.
20 million? Whoa.
You know what? I do not even understand why people would be like EESing on PulseChain. Like that doesn't even make sense to me.
That's a rage. That's a rage EES.
It's, hang on, is that HEX or dollars? Oh, HEX.
Oh, okay. So
15 million HEX. $15 million in EHEX penalties, or
but even so, like more PHEX is getting EES than EHEX. Like, stop panicking, people. Chill the fuck out.
I think they are rage quitting all the RH stuff. Sweet. This is like an extra shake, an extra like shaking out of weak hands, I guess, isn't it? Could be classified as that.
It's definitely a shakeout. If people are actually like dumping their PHEX and Pulse and whatever in PulseX, I can't believe that Inc has done so well. That just blows my mind. That really shows you how, like,
hang on, isn't it 90% down from its all-time high?
Yeah, but that was only like a few days or a week or two or something, wasn't it, when it first came out?
Okay. Yeah, this is what it feels like to me. It feels like a bit of a shakeout. If you can't stand the heat in the kitchen, get out. That's what's going on. There's a few people out there who can't stand the heat in the kitchen. They're just like, fuck this, rage quitting, getting the fuck out. And look, that tends to happen in crypto, but it just means that you know, there's less people that you need to share the gains with. So yeah, dude. I know. Look, there were loads of people in the chat writing stuff. We promised each other we were going to make it a short one. We weren't going to go for too long. Thanks to everyone in the chat. Thanks, Bluey, for coming on such short notice. Yeah, it's interesting times. I say everyone should keep a very level head. I would say don't EES. You know, don't EES. And just you know, don't do anything drastic. I don't think there's any need to. I think you can just sit back and you know, see what happens in the next few months. I think it might be interesting times for everyone. Was there anything you wanted to say, Bluey, before we wind it up?
Yeah, don't panic. I mean, that's. I think with all of this information, it's very hard to make kind of rational decisions in the moment, and yeah, hopefully no one's got all of their eggs in, you know, one basket, and thanks for everyone coming on for the.
Oh, but by the way, can you guys, if you're not subscribed to me on Twitter, I'm at 43OG, just as it is in my title here. It's a weird sort of spelling of everything. And Bluey, your blue bum is da man. Is that yours on Twitter?
Yeah. Blue bum wasn't available, so I just added his demand.
So yeah, okay. What did that come from, by the way? What's blue bum come from? Never asked you that.
Yeah, it was when I first got into HEX and I was going on Telegram and I just had to make up a handle and I just pulled that out of my ass. I don't know where it came from.
I don't know why. Have I asked you that?
Started calling me Bluey, and that kind of stuck, I think.
Bluey. Yeah, I call you Bluey.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. We will see you next time. Peace.
See